A lot of people ask about Dan Patrick's success, but if you think about it, good hair, good pipes, a couple catchphrases, the whiff, and fuego, anybody could do that.
Like Lance Armstrong, that ball is gone.
Oh, man, did that really just happen? Eechy owie!
As pointy as an isosceles triangle.
Yep, it's that simple. Couple of catchphrases, nice haircut, you're good to go in this business.
When I was a kid, I dreamed of being a stuntman.
I went from dream to dream pretty quickly.
I wanted to be a cowboy.
Tom Cruise in Top Gun.
I dreamt of being a nun.
Actually, before that, it was Popeye.
Malaria kills more than 2,000 children a day.
Text NET, N-E-T, to 85944 to make a $10 donation to Malaria No More.
Oh, messaging and data rates may apply.
Let's make malaria no more.
Anything you can do, they can do bigger.
I love it when a plan comes together.
The A-Team, go bigger with the extended cut.
At Sam Adams, you're constantly challenged to keep moving forward.
For 2 years, Samuel Adams worked with the world's oldest brewery, the Weinstefan, on a new champagne-like beer within the German beer purity law.
At first, we thought it was an impossible challenge.
We took the traditional steps and rearranged them.
The result was beyond our expectations.
Infinium is tart, dry, and effervescent.
We learned from Samuel Adams how to go to the limit.
Infinium is the art of brewing.
Cheers.
I spent a lot of miles on the road since my retirement. And you know, the road can really take a toll on you. But my new co-pilot, I'm feeling really good right now. Wearing shape-ups is my new workout partner. I feel so good, I decided to do something a little unconventional. With my shape-ups, I'm walking back to the game I love.
Shape-ups. Get back in the game.
Anything you can do, they can do bigger.
Overkill is underrated.
The A-Team, go bigger with the extended cut.
Any questions?
The all-new Speed Dream Ride comes fully loaded.
With extreme acceleration,
Outrageous handling. Unbelievable power.
and options that'll make you scream. A little.
Enter to win the Speed Dream Ride sweepstakes. Join some of the greatest drivers ever in the hottest rides on Earth. This year's model, built for speed.
It blows the doors off the competition.
Watch the Speed Dream Ride Marathon and visit speeddreamride.com.
We welcome you back to the Grand Sierra. So Archie Solis moves on. He tells Raul Marquez, I don't care who I fight, but I think that's really the bottom line, Rich, is there's a lot of good fights out there at 108 pounds.
Yes, they are. And he said today that he thought, you know, Calderon would bring the biggest money. I think Segura might bring the biggest action. And Omar Nino might be the immediate champion in the future there. But, you know, I see the possibility maybe down the line of maybe this the titles being unified in this division.
Yeah, there's a real round robin that could take place here, and every one of those fighters is more than just somewhat creditable. They are all terrific professionals. Before we jump off the track here, I do want to talk about what a great weekend it's been here in Reno, Nevada, and, in commemoration of the 100th anniversary of a fight that really went down not only in boxing history, but in history, period.
Yes, and it was an inspiration to these fighters. They were all excited to be here, to be part of it. And Johnson and Jeffrey, certainly that had more sociological impact and ramifications and repercussions. And there's still a pardon request on the desk of President Barack Obama for Jack Johnson. We'll see if that's ever acted upon, but I know a lot of people are pushing for that.
Yeah, and you certainly hope that it does happen. So a tremendous weekend here up in the mountains in Reno, Nevada. Rich Murata's home, actually, and I can see why you like it so much. Great entertainment all weekend long, culminated by a great win by Archie Solis as he beats a tough Eric Ortiz tonight, a veteran and a former champion, and now he looks ahead to what could be a great fight in a great division. That is a wrap for us. For my partner, Rich Murata, I'm Barry Tompkins. So long, everybody.
After wins over Kentucky and Evansville, North Carolina is home tonight looking for win number 3 in a row in the space of a week. The Tar Heels have found their rhythm and want to continue making sweet music in the Dean Dome. It's North Carolina and Long Beach State right now. Basketball's about momentum, and right now, North Carolina has it. Welcome to the Smith Center in Chapel Hill as North Carolina plays host to the 49ers of Long Beach State. Hi, folks. I'm Mike Hogwood along with Dan Bonner. And Dan, North Carolina trying to get their third win in a week. They are playing a lot better right now.
Mike, they are. I think it takes time when you're blending what in effect was unproven veterans along with freshmen, and it's just going to take a little while for North Carolina.
Now, 1 week ago in the win over Kentucky, Tyler Zeller had a career game, 27 points and 11 rebounds.
Mike, Tyler Zeller has had a consistently outstanding season so far. He's averaging more than 16 points a game. He's got 15 block shots on the season. He's averaging about 8 rebounds. He shot the ball very well from the free throw line. We have seen the wide range of skills that he possesses, and he has improved greatly. And as you can look from last year to this year, and I think as he continues to improve this season, so will the Tar Heels.
Well, Zeller, you mentioned those blocked shots. That's an area where North Carolina has improved the last couple of games, is defensively.
Well, they sure have, Mike, and I think the key to their defense is going to be, once again, Larry Drew. He does a great job putting pressure on the other team's point guard, and I think that'll be critical tonight.
Now, Long Beach State is a team that's 5-5. They've got a very balanced attack. T.J. Robinson is a player who averages a double-double inside.
Well, T.J. Robinson at 6'8", about 220 pounds. He was first team All-Big West last year. When he averaged a double-double, you can see he's doing it again. This is a guy who's going to be critical. I think he plays well inside. He's really going to have his hands full tonight.
Well, one thing you can say about Long Beach State is that they do not shy away from big-time competition. They're ready to go. They're open for the upset tonight. We'll have our starting lineups. North Carolina, Long Beach State on the way.
You don't really think about stability until you don't have it. Auto Owners Insurance has been safe, sound, and secure for over 90 years. That's stability you can count on. Contact your independent Auto Owners Insurance agent today. Consistently receiving the highest rankings in growth, financial stability, and claims services in the nation. Auto Owners Insurance. The no-problem people.
You gonna eat that?
I won!
What? Huh? A winning lottery ticket? I'm out of here! Thanks for the cash, loser!
Hey, that's my ticket!
Go eat a lump of coal!
Be nice this year. Spread a little holiday magic. Give holiday instant games from the Georgia Lottery. With top prizes of $750,000, they're the perfect gift.
I love NFL Sunday Ticket. Every game, every Sunday, delicious. But this year, HD is included, and I can get whole games live on my computer and my cell phone. Plus Red Zone, hosted by Andrew Siciliano. And 8 games live on one screen with Game Mix.
These are good nachos.
NFL Sunday Ticket. It's like nachos made by cheerleaders with fireworks.
We are your home for ACC basketball. We are Fox Sports South.
Welcome back to the Smith Center as we get ready for North Carolina Long Beach State. The 49ers coming off a loss at Utah State. And as we take a look at our Food Lion starting lineups, one change, Edis Diversovic is starting his first game of the year. Everybody else is averaging in double figures. Casper Ware, the leading scorer on the team. Greg Plater is an excellent outside shooter. Now for the North Carolina Tar Heels, as Dan told you, Tyler Zeller leads the way. John Henson averaging a double-double on the season. Larry Drew has been playing very well defensively in the last couple of games. This is the lineup they've gone with pretty much all season long. The Tar Heels come into the game at 6-3. We're ready to tip it. The Tar Heels and the 49ers. Our opening tip is on the way from Chapel Hill in a moment.
Moby Dick.
Searching for Moby Dick.
AT&T and BlackBerry have teamed up to evolve the smartphone. AT&T. Rethink possible.
At BB&T, we've spent more than 135 years sharing knowledge, helping clients become better informed. With checking options, online and mobile banking, it's easy to find the right direction for you. Know how it feels to know more.
And ACC fans, enter the BB&T $1 Million Bank Shot Challenge, and you could win $1 million at the 2011 ACC Men's Basketball Tournament. Enter today at bbt.com/ACC. BB&T, official bank of the ACC.
Make a difference this holiday season. Help bring joy to children less fortunate. Support Toys for Tots in your community by dropping off any new unwrapped toy by December 14th at your nearest Honda dealer of the Carolinas. And deliver a smile where it's needed most. The Honda dealers of the Carolinas are proud to join the United States Marine Corps in supporting Toys for Tots.
The house will be rocking for an ACC Sunday Night Hoops doubleheader. First, Reggie Jackson and Boston College battle Maryland in their first conference showdown of the season. Then, DeMontez Stitt and Clemson take on Chris Singleton and Florida State. It's an ACC Sunday Night Hoops doubleheader this week, presented by Pizza Hut.
Mike Hogwood, Dan Bonner back in Chapel Hill. Before we tip it, Dan, let's get your 4 keys to the game.
Well, your guys from Long Beach State, Mike, they have to have the holiday spirit. And when I say they have to have the holiday spirit, they got to get some of those presents underneath the basket in terms of offensive rebounds, but they can't give away presents. Turnovers have North Carolina. They're going to have a blue Christmas if they get in foul trouble because they're not very deep. North Carolina, they got to go inside or down the chimney, but they can't rely just on that. They got to get up on a rooftop and make a couple of threes, I believe.
I love it, Dan, and his Christmas theme with the keys to the game. Our officials tonight, Timmy Nestor, Sean Corbin, and Tim Kelly. North Carolina, of course, in their home white. Good crowd here tonight. This is the last game before exams, North Carolina. Tar Heels with the opening tip here. Strickland right to the bucket for 2.
That was easy. Now here, this is where I think you're going to have a key to the game. Larry Drew in his defensive effort against Casper Ware, and Diversovic just simply steps out of bounds.
And then that's what you're talking about. That's what cannot happen. Mistakes like that are going to be really costly.
Well, again, you see the North Carolina defense, I mean, they pushed him so far away from the basket, they stepped out of bounds.
This is Strickland, who scored the first bucket of the game. Barnes inside, way off balance. And that is T.J. Robinson, who Dan talked about in the open, down with the rebound, who averages double-figure boards. Robinson inside, and he scores at the other end.
Got to prevent Ware from that penetration. The entire Long Beach State offense seems to be built around his ability to penetrate past his defender and pass.
Barnes open for 3. Can't get it to go in the game against Evansville. Barnes was 0 for 5 from behind the arc.
You'll notice that Long Beach is not afraid to get it up and down the court. They feel they play their best offense in transition. So while they don't want North Carolina to play in transition, they'd like to get it and go.
Really nice pass from Eugene Phelps inside the Plater. And the Beach, as they are called, up early here, 4-2.
North Carolina has a tremendous advantage on the inside. Now Long Beach State back into his zone.
Barnes has not shot the ball well in the last couple of games. But he hits that one. That's his first 3 in 2 games.
Well, the interesting thing about the young man, he has not shot the ball well, but he is undeterred. He keeps shooting it.
Only 27% from behind the arc on the season.
He's had 2 really good looks from 3 in this game.
Here's Ware on the drive. Casper Ware, the junior point guard, he really drives the train here for Long Beach State.
Well, that cannot make Roy Williams very happy. A couple of layups so far for Long Beach State. They're trying to pressure out on the wings, deny the passes. I think they're looking for help on the inside, not getting it.
Here's Henson. Kicking it out, Drew, and Henson the offensive board. And the putback, his first bucket here tonight.
Somehow he got matched up against Casper Ware inside, and he's a good foot taller than Casper Ware, no contest.
Yeah, 6'10" and 5'10". Here is Casper Ware. Ware preseason all Big West. Versovic, known as an outside shooter despite his size at 6'8". And there is Roy Williams in his 8th season at North Carolina. 202 wins, 2 national championships. Look at the intensity on his face. There were some questions about this team after they lost a couple of games in an early tournament, but they have really played well over the last week.
The key, I think, for them, Mike, is their defensive intensity. The numbers that don't lie, and when they play really good defense and hold their opponents down in terms of field goal percentage, they normally win the game.
Nice drive to the bucket by Phelps, his first bucket, and 4 different players now have scored for Long Beach State. They get it right back. Robinson over Henson.
Like, this is really easy. Long Beach State getting very easy looks at the basket.
Long Beach State has hit 5 of their first 6 shots to take this 10-7 lead. Here's Henson. Off the glass for his 4th point.
I'm not buying that he meant to do that.
Robinson can't hit there. You mentioned field goal percentage. North Carolina holding teams down below 40% on the season. So far, Long Beach State has started out hot. They get the rebound there.
I think when Long Beach State plays in the half court, they don't want to take quick shots. They have to get good shots like that one. Another layup.
Robinson's got 6 points here.
Mike, and every one of them has been scored right on top of the basket.
Here's Henson. Loses the ball out of bounds. It has not been a good start for North Carolina. Long Beach State with a 3-point lead. They've been led by T.J. Robinson, the 6'8" junior with 6 points here early.
Here's to everyone on the mountain, to the people who came together to create the next great flavor of Mountain Dew, to the ones with the passion to spread the word. More than 1 million of you stood up and made your choice clear. Dew fans across America, your voice has been heard. A new flavor of Mountain Dew, built by Dew fans for Dew fans. Introducing Mountain Dew Whiteout, a blast of smooth citrus and the newest member of the Dew family. Mountain Dew, it's different on the mountain.
It's the end of the line for engine deposits. Haviland with Deposit Shield. The deposits that attack your engine every time you drive can cause friction, robbing it of performance and fuel efficiency. Haviland shields it, because a clean engine runs better. Defend your engine. Haviland with Deposit Shield.
This season, let's lose the foe. No fake trees. No phony trucks. Just real proven power. The kind that comes from the legendary Ram. Just in time for the holidays. Announcing the Ram Big Finish of 2010.
When we talk Kentucky basketball, we go straight to the top. An exclusive online chat with Coach John Calipari.
I'll see you at foxsportssouth.com.
Monday at 12 Eastern, only on foxsportssouth.com.
This ACC game is brought to you in part by BB&T, by Pepsi, by AT&T, and by Jack in the Box. 49ers with the early lead here, 12-9. Has to make Dan Munson happy. Coached Gonzaga to the Elite Eight. Coached at Minnesota, now in his 4th season with Long Beach State. Dan, I thought it was interesting what he told us earlier today. He really wanted his players to focus on what they're doing and not really worry about the offense that North Carolina is going to be running.
Mike, and that's a very interesting point. And Dan Munson knows that the Big West is going to be a one-bid league in terms of the NCAA tournament. And so he's not playing these games against North Carolina and teams like that so he can build up his RPI to get an at-large bid. He wants to get his team ready to play in his conference tournament. You do that against tough competition, and you do that by concentrating on what you do, not worrying about what the other guy does.
Here's Plater. Told you he's a pretty good shooter, and just into the game, Reggie Bullock down with the rebound ahead to Zeller. Justin Knox also into the game for North Carolina, along with Leslie McDonald.
Mike, and we're 4.5 minutes in, and Tyler Zeller has yet to handle the ball in a scoring situation.
Got it now, though. Can't hit the little jump hook.
I think he needs the offense really needs to run through him. He needs to touch the ball just about every time down.
Long Beach State continues their hot shooting. Exeter Ware's got 5. Here's Bullock. Bullock's a good shooter for North Carolina, the freshman out of Kinston.
Well, North Carolina has a tremendous advantage on the inside, but they haven't been able to use it yet.
Here's what we're talking about. Reggie Bullock had 9 points on Wednesday against Evansville. He's had some issues with a knee this year. Missed 1 game. Here's Larry Drew. Well, North Carolina starting to heat up a little bit as Drew. It's his first bucket of the game, and the Tar Heels are within 1.
North Carolina doing a nice job taking advantage of opportunities presented by a little bit of impatience by Long Beach State. If they get a transition opportunity, they need to take it, but otherwise I think they need to be patient in their half-court offense.
Trying to go backdoor with Ware. Maintaining possession. Long Beach State able to penetrate that North Carolina defense. Tristan Wilson just into the game with the bucket.
He is a very, very good rebounder. Not really athletic, but a tremendous rebounder.
Wilson, number 2, the Arizona State High School Player of the Year 2 years ago. And an offensive foul is going to be called inside.
Well, that's Casper Ware down in there again in the zone, this time matched up against Justin Knox, and he very nearly gets his head taken off down in the lower right-hand portion of your screen. Unfortunately, when you're 5'10" and you're playing against 6'9" Justin Knox, your head is right at his elbow level, and that can be a dangerous place.
This is not a very deep Long Beach State team. As a matter of fact, Dan Monson, the coach, said, you know, you'd pick this year to have some injuries, and they have had some folks have been banged up. Here's Phelps. He's one of those who's been injured with a separated shoulder. Kendall Marshall in the game now, freshman point guard. Here's Henson, nice move to the bucket and 1. John Henson.
Long Beach tries to come, Mike, with almost a triple team here. Watch as Jeremy King goes down inside. Tristan Wilson doesn't get there fast enough, so they actually tried to double team him, in fact triple team him, but they didn't get there in time. Good quick move by Henson.
Fouls on Phelps, his first. How about that? Henson, who has really struggled from the free throw line, only 35% on the year, completes the three-point play. He has not missed a shot here in the first half.
We might point out that Jeremy King, number 25, is in the game at point guard, so Ware is on the bench.
Oh, and that's Phelps inside. Strong move by Eugene Phelps. 6'6" junior out of Los Angeles. Bullock, the deep 3. Here's Marshall working against King.
Mike, they're settling for those three-point shots.
Long Beach State shooting over 60% here in this first half.
And they come in shooting barely over 40%, and their shooting percentage is a direct result of the type of shots they're getting. That was not a good look by Phelps. He's yet to make a three-pointer this season.
Here's McDonald open for 3. Leslie McDonald, it's his 9th 3 of the year. Missed a couple on Wednesday night. 3-point shooting numbers. Tar Heels with 3. Good job by McDonald to get the tie up there. Ball will belong to Long Beach State when we come back. But the Tar Heels off of this three from Leslie McDonald have taken the lead, 20-19.
Preparing for the holidays takes time and money. Holiday grocery shopping at Food Lion saves both. We offer more ways to save with thousands of MVP specials, exclusive coupons, low-priced Food Lion brands, and more. One stop saves time, more ways to save saves money. We all need more time and money during the holidays. And cookies. You can never have too many cookies. Happy holidays from all of us at Food Lion.
Change. It can be right at your fingertips. Progress Energy is bringing you new ways to save energy and money. More alternative energy, like solar and smart technology, like advanced carbon-free nuclear, because clean, reliable, affordable power makes a difference for you and the world around you. Learn more at progress-energy.com.
The new Tailored Fit collection, exclusively at Joseph A. Bank. A slightly slimmer fit for a modern look. Finely tailored suits and handcrafted sport coats with narrower lapels, two-button styling, and side vents. The Tailored Fit collection, a slimmer cut, a modern look. Exclusively at Joseph A. Bank.
Look at all the Toyotas for sale. Let's go with...
I'm selling my Toyota RAV4.
Do you know anything at all about the Escape?
It's a nice light blue color, much like my eyes.
My goodness, it's true. The mileage is extraordinary, 28 miles per gallon on the highway. It's a voice-activated sync system.
All around, it's better than my Toyota.
Get our best deals, 0% financing, and as a holiday bonus, we'll give you $1,500 toward your first 3 payments.
Is it wrong to drive a Toyota to Ford's year-end celebration?
Not if you leave it behind.
John Henson, 7 points, leads the way for North Carolina here in the first half. Time for our Southeast Toyota trivia question. Long Beach State's T.J. Robinson, one of 20 players last season to average a double-double, named the only ACC player to do that a year ago. Several candidates come to mind.
Well, that's true, but that puts Robinson in pretty elite company.
And he goes to the bench. And Dan, it's going to be really interesting to see with the top players on this team and Casper Ware and Robinson, when they go out of the game, how Long Beach State plays, because indeed they do not have a lot of depth.
Mike, when Ware went out of the game, they had a couple of point lead, and now Ware has come back in the game, and they find themselves down by 1.
There's Diversovic, who got the start. Shot clock's at 3. They have to hurry. Ware knows it. How about Casper Ware? Oh my.
Well, maybe they would put that one in the playbook. You got to be kidding.
He's got 8 points, and that gives Long Beach State the lead back.
He shot that from about Asheville on the map.
Down low, Henson. McDonald for 3. Leslie McDonald's got 2 3-pointers here in the first half. Both teams shooting well of late.
Mike, and that is exactly what we talked about with North Carolina. One of the keys for them, if they get the ball inside and it's cut off, can they kick it back out and score? And they certainly did that time. That was a nice looking play.
Here's Wilson. Boy, it's been lights out at both ends. The Tar Heels 50% from behind the arc. McDonald had been hot. Missed that one.
Well, Tristan Wilson came into the game 1 for 5 shooting threes. He's made 1. Eugene Phelps, he's got the ball now. He's 2 for 16 on the year. And he doesn't get 1.
McDonald boards it.
You know, Long Beach State had great success going inside early in the game. They've gotten away from that.
Kendall Marshall, the freshman from Dumfries, Virginia, hits his first bucket. Marshall, the backup point guard to Larry Drew. We've had 9 lead changes so far in this first half, and we're tied for the 3rd time. Ahead it goes to Barnes. Here's McDonald. He'll take another 3. Leslie McDonald is on fire. 3 threes, 9 points. That is his season high, and he's given the Tar Heels a 28-25 lead.
Mike, we talked before the game about the effectiveness on the inside of Tyler Zeller. Haven't heard much from him tonight, but Henson has been effective on the inside. You can see they slough off just a little bit. They're giving North Carolina that outside shot. Phelps reluctant to come out quickly. North Carolina knocks it down, and when you can combine inside strength and three-point shooting, they're going to be very tough to defend.
McDonald has a reputation as a scorer. He was the all-time leading scorer in Memphis private school history. In high school, he had over 2,500 points, and they've been waiting for him to break out. He did have 16 in a game against Hofstra. How about Roy Williams saying, hey, I like those threes.
Mike, when the ball's going in the basket, there's a lot of reasons to smile on the court and on the bench. Now, this is a key stretch of the game right here, I think, for Long Beach State. Their scouting report was that North Carolina couldn't shoot it very well from the outside, so deny the interior, make them shoot from the outside. They've done that, but they have not been successful.
Good defensive play by Tyler Zeller, ahead to Strickland. Just back in the game to Henson, he's fouled.
We also said before the game that Long Beach State had to really be careful with the turnovers because they couldn't allow North Carolina to get out and go. Very impressive by John Henson running the court, beating everybody down. Now the question is, can he knock in these free throws?
Well, he hit his first attempt. Nothing but air there. Henson came into this game 14 for 40 from the free throw line. And listen to the crowd offering a little encouragement here to the 6'10 sophomore. That one a little strong.
Mike, when you airball the first one, it's awfully tough to make the second one. Usually you bounce it off the backboard like that because you're not going to miss it short again. You may miss, but you're not going to shoot another airball.
That's what happened with Henson. Now 1 for 3 from the line. Here's Jackson just into the game. Corey Jackson can't hit. Here comes Drew.
Right at the moment, Long Beach has the wrong guy shooting the ball.
Tyler Zeller off balance, but Harrison Barnes the follow with authority.
Zeller draws so much attention, nobody left for Barnes.
And Henson the rebound. Dan, you get the feeling Harrison Barnes is close to really breaking it out as Strickland's fouled on the way to the bucket. Hasn't shot the ball well, but boy, his athleticism is something special.
Watch, there's 3 guys around Zeller, and nobody pays any attention to Harrison Barnes. He just glides right down the lane. Guys are looking at the basketball, not at the not at the players.
Dexter Strickland, the sophomore from Elizabeth, New Jersey, on the line. North Carolina is not a good free throw shooting team, only 64% on the year. Strickland came into the game at 68%. Makes 1 of 2. It's the Tar Heels' largest lead at 31-25.
And again, Long Beach is in a situation where I think they've got to work hard and get a good look at the basket. They got mostly layups, 5 layups in their first 6 shots. They've been limited since then.
Here's T.J. Robinson. He's been silent of late. He travels there. Again, good defense by Tyler Zeller. Zeller has not scored in the game, but Dan, he's looked pretty good on the defensive end.
Well, Mike, and he's been active on the offensive end. One of the reasons he hasn't scored is Long Beach is doing a pretty good job keeping the ball away from him in the middle, and that's one of the reasons why their perimeter shooters have been wide open.
Now here's Zeller. Still without a point.
Now he's getting some good shots, though. They're going to go down.
Casper Ware. Ware, one of the top point guards in the Big West Conference. Ware for 3. And it's Barnes the rebound, and the 49ers have gone cold here in the last couple of minutes. It's obvious they're looking inside for Zeller. Sagging in on him. Strickland misses.
Great block out by Diversevic. North Carolina's defense is forcing Long Beach to just play a little faster than they want to.
Speaking of fast, North Carolina gets it quickly down the court and Strickland scores. Long Beach State has now gone 3.5 minutes without a point.
Mike, they've turned the ball over. They haven't really taken good shots, and because they're not controlling the game on the offensive end anymore, they're giving North Carolina the opportunity to get out and go.
You see the North Carolina scoring run of 24-10. Inside Robinson, and that breaks the drought. T.J. Robinson with 8. Here's Zeller. Barnes to follow. And Phelps down with the rebound.
You're not going to miss very many of those. They happen to miss 2 of them right in succession. But those are good looks by North Carolina. Great hustle in transition.
Tyler Zeller now 0 for 4 here in the first half. Henson with a good defensive play. 6:35 to go first half. And the Tar Heels up 33-27. They've been nailing it from outside. And the young freshman, Harrison Barnes, came to play tonight.
At BB&T, we've spent more than 135 years sharing our knowledge, helping clients manage their finances, become better informed, and head in a brighter financial direction. Know how it feels to know more. And ACC fans, enter the BB&T $1 Million Bank Shot Challenge, and you could win $1 million at the 2011 ACC Men's Basketball Tournament. Enter today at bbt.com/ACC. BB&T, official bank of the ACC.
Haviland with Deposit Shield. The deposits that attack your engine every time you drive can cause friction, robbing it of performance and fuel efficiency. Haviland shields it. Because a clean engine runs better. Defend your engine. Haviland with Deposit Shield.
For the 12 deals of Christmas, HH gave to me $199 TVs. HH Greg has Blu-ray, huge refrigerators, washer, dryer, combo, speakers, and receivers, smartphones from Verizon, ovens, microwaves, the hottest gaming consoles, must-see 3D, cameras and camcorders, laptops, home theater systems, and $199 TVs. The HH Greg Holiday Sale. See you there.
It's the Pep Boys Holiday Savings Event. Get a Castrol GTX do-it-yourself oil change, just $13.99. That's 5 quarts and filter, just $13.99. Through Sunday, get holiday deals on great gifts for everyone on your list. Get a 10-piece garage kit, just $59. Get half off a 12-volt mini air compressor. You pay just $20. Or get a Peak Jump Start for only $14.98 each.
Pep Boys does everything for less.
We are your home for ACC basketball. We are Fox Sports South.
State started lights out 5 for 6, but since then they've only shot 7 for 17. They've really cooled off. Told you about our Southeast Toyota trivia question. Long Beach State's T.J. Robinson, one of 20 players to average a double-double last year, the only ACC player to do it. Dan, did you have it?
Of course I had it.
Al Farouk Aminu of Wake Forest, now playing in the NBA with the Clippers.
One of the reasons that Long Beach State has struggled on the offensive end is the North Carolina defense has speeded them up just a couple of beats. They haven't really been able to run their offense.
49ers trying to stop a 10-0 run. They don't there. Tar Heel defense comes up with a turnover, and there's a foul.
Now Casper Ware against that double team got himself up in the air, and anytime you jump up in the air, obviously you have to get rid of the ball before you come back down. And that put Dan Munson's guys in a very difficult situation. Actually not a bad foul by Ware. It prevented an easy basket.
But as you saw, it's the second foul on Casper Ware, and a guy they could ill afford to have on the bench. Here's Henson. Robinson, good defense down with the rebound. He's played well here in the first half.
Mike, you know, in this first half on both ends, the backboards have gotten a workout.
There's what Casper Ware can do, right to the bucket. He's in double figures now with 10 points.
Yeah, but Mike, the point that you made about Ware and his fouls is really a good one. We saw earlier when Ware went out for a breather. They just can't afford to have him on the bench. North Carolina caught up and went ahead.
Dan, that was only the 4th turnover here of the half for North Carolina. And the wins over Kentucky and Evansville, they only had a total of 12 in each game. They have really been taking care of the basketball. Phelps.
I think that young man needs to stop shooting threes. He hadn't been close on any of them.
He has found it tough outside.
Well, now he's 2 for 18 on the year, and if you're always open from out there, you have to consider that maybe there's a reason for that. The other guys want you to shoot it from out there.
North Carolina, on the other hand, has shot the ball very well from outside here tonight. Here's Strickland. And again, another 3. That's Marshall. His first 3-pointer.
That's great patience. Strickland passed up a 3 and then got one to Phelps for a better one.
The Tar Heels are now 6 for 11 from behind the arc.
Well, Strickland penetrates in here, draws the defense, and then you have that kick out 3. When you talk about kicking the ball outside, Mike, it doesn't have to be just a pass into a big guy. It can be that dribble penetration move. Strickland passed up the 3, penetrated into the lane, drew the defense, and then got it to Marshall for a wide open look.
The Tar Heels in this first half, 50% from the field, 55% from behind the arc.
And that's with Zeller not having scored a basket.
Tyler Zeller, yes, the leading scorer, has not scratched yet. Here's Bullock.
Mike Bullock really looks like he's got some offensive skills. They're just waiting for that knee to come around completely. I don't think they can play him as many minutes as they'd like to because they don't want that knee to blow out. That knee's getting stronger by, a little bit at a time. They don't want to overtax him, but boy, he looks like he's got some offensive talent.
He was the high school player of the year in North Carolina a year ago out of Kinston. Led his team to a state championship. Shot clock's under 10. And Tyler Zeller is going to be whistled for his first foul.
Mike, that's the first time we've seen that called. Zeller and the other North Carolina big guys have been bumping the Long Beach guards when they step out. That time, the biggest bump we've seen. But the officials have to be very careful about that. They cannot allow the North Carolina big guys to bump the guards from Long Beach State off their path.
And Dan, here we are, 4 minutes to go in the first half. That's only the second team foul of the half on North Carolina.
I think another indication that Long Beach has been shooting the ball very, very quickly.
Barnes the rebound. North Carolina has owned the boards here. Drew feeding inside, and there's a whistle and a foul. The Tar Heels trying to take control here towards the end of the first half. They lead it 38-29.
These are 150-watt high-intensity halogen lamps. They really light up the house. Our electric bill is high, so, one of our kids may not get as big a present as they wanted. We take them outside and say, look at that, and smile.
In a season marked by overindulging and overspending, Acura introduces the concept of oversaving. Test drive a new Acura during the Season of Reason sales event.
Take advantage of attractive lease rates on the 2010 Acura TSX for well-qualified customers.
Every curve, every contour, every hair. Philips Norelco's new SensaTouch 3D. Our most advanced shave yet. Our best shave ever, or your money back.
A new Carrier heating and cooling system can save you money every month, thanks to energy-efficient technology that can help lower your utility bill. Buy a Carrier system now and save up to $1,500 in federal tax credits. But hurry, this offer expires 12/31/2010. Visit us online at southeastcarrierdealers.com to find the Carrier dealer nearest you. That's southeastcarrierdealers.com. Carrier, turn to the experts.
North Carolina leads Long Beach State 38-29, and one reason is the Tar Heels have been able to combine inside play and outside play. Look here as the ball is inside to John Henson. All the guys are in the lane. Watch this guy. He is now trying to react back to the pass, and when Henson puts the ball back outside and everybody's chasing, the ball goes to Strickland. He pump fakes, goes inside, and once again, you see every Long Beach State defender in the lane. This pass out here is wide open. You can see there's no defenders anywhere around. So it's an ideal situation for a three-point shot. Excellent penetration, excellent pass. That's what you call getting it inside, then kicking it out for the three-pointer. Perfect execution by North Carolina.
And again, the knock on North Carolina is they haven't been hitting that outside shot, but tonight, 6 for 11, 55% from three.
Mike, an awful lot of it comes down to what kind of three-point shots are you taking? Are you taking wide open threes? Are you taking contested threes? Are you taking threes where you're standing waiting to catch the ball? Are you coming off screens? So just because they're shooting a low percentage doesn't mean they're bad three-point shooters.
Barnes catch and shoot, and he hits. Harrison Barnes' second three, and that's the largest lead, now into double digits for North Carolina.
He just had the opportunity to turn right into that.
Boy, he has a sweet-looking shot.
Yeah, Long Beach State on the verge of getting blown out here. They really need to buckle down on the defensive end, but they need to get good shots on offense.
Here's Ware. Kick out, and again, that shooting drought continues. That is Kyle Richardson came down with a rebound. And a travel called on Corey Jackson.
Mike, Harrison Barnes just steps right into this three, and that's excellent form on the shot. There was a guy there playing defense, but Barnes was perfectly in rhythm as he shot that ball.
See Justin Watts coming into the game for North Carolina. Harrison Barnes was 0 for 5 again on Wednesday night against Evansville. He had 12 points a week ago against Kentucky, all of them in the first half. Barnes has 8 here in the half now with the basketball. Good ball movement again, and how about the half Leslie McDonald has had? 4 3-pointers, 12 points for McDonald, who averages only 6 a game.
That's a great job by Zeller to get the ball out, and then Carolina reverses it, and McDonald is all alone. That's a great job by Larry Drew to get the ball to him quickly.
Another three is missed. Here comes North Carolina quickly in transition. Lost the ball, though, to Long Beach State. Dan, Long Beach State's Casper Ware has hit 2 free threes, and here's North Carolina. Leslie McDonald on the other end has got 4 here in the first half. But my point is that Ware 2 for 3, the rest of the team 1 for 11 from behind the arc for Long Beach State.
Well, the rest of the guys are not very good three-point shooters. And they're taking tough shots. They're not shots that are sort of in the offense. Their shot clock's running down and they launch one.
Later, Long Beach State's missed its last 5 shots. Barnes hit the floor hard. Here's Drew, came up with it. Barnes looked at the shot for a moment.
He was thinking about it, wasn't he?
Here's Watts, wide open. North Carolina has this lead with Tyler Zeller only taking 4 shots here in this first half. Wilson there with the follow. Tristan Wilson's had a good half with 7 points. Here's Zeller again. Now 0 for 5, but Zeller will go to the free throw line for 2.
Mike, the thing that impresses me about Zeller, he's playing very well on the defensive end, and he's really doing a great job running up and down the court. He's not the kind of a guy who gets frustrated because he's not scoring points. He has made some really nice passes in this game. He's gotten himself in pretty good position, although he has yet to score.
He had 18 points on Wednesday night. Did Tyler Zeller, and then last Saturday, 27 career high against Kentucky. And that is his first point of the night. Boy, that three wasn't even close by Edis Diversity.
Just a bit outside with that one. Dan Munson, you know, he's looking, saying, good heavens. It's like somebody opened the door and blew that one off course.
Well, there's a real lid on it right now for the 49ers.
What's hard to shoot over those 7-foot guys with long arms?
Under a minute to go, first half. Leslie McDonald, a career half for him. 5 3-pointers, 15 points. He's a point away from tying his career high.
Well, he's just really feeling it now. He's in one of those shooter zones.
Boy, Dan, and you think about it, what a difference that can make in this team if Leslie McDonald can establish himself as a shooter.
Well, Mike, you're absolutely right about that, but the key has been that Long Beach State has worked very hard to shut off the inside. The outside has been open, and they've taken advantage.
Ware in the paint, off the glass. Casper Ware continues to be the leader of this team.
That is a tough shot, Mike. Zeller was standing right in front of him. He had to get the ball up over top of Zeller and bank it in from straight on. That is not an easy play.
Ware now in double figures for the 7th straight game for Long Beach State. Again, a preseason pick to be first team all-conference.
Now, Ware's got to be really careful. He has 2 fouls, and in the man-to-man, he doesn't want to pick up a third one. Silly one here.
That 3 by McDonald didn't go. Final seconds of the half. Robinson. And I think we're going to get a foul right before the halftime buzzer.
Mike, I agree with you. I think that foul occurred just before the buzzer.
It's on McDonald. It's his first.
That was pretty good patience by Greg Plater. The officials are going to have to go over here and take a look to see if there was any time left. We'll get a chance to see it. 5 seconds left when they get the rebound. Plater actually takes a look at the clock, passes it back. That foul occurs just before they put 2/10 of a second back on.
Well, 2/10 of a second, and Long Beach State will be going to the free throw line for the first time tonight.
Well, Mike, they haven't been attacking the basket. They haven't been penetrating off the dribble. They've settled for those outside jump shots, and you don't draw fouls that way.
Robinson's only a 50% free throw shooter on the season. Does have 8 points here in this first half. Makes 1 of 2, and it will be a 14-point North Carolina lead here at the break as the Tar Heels take a 48-34 lead. And Long Beach State started out, Dan, red hot, 5 of 6, but then the North Carolina defense, I thought, took over. It's been playing well for the last couple of games.
Mike, we talked before the game about the importance of the North Carolina defense, particularly pressuring the ball, and I thought after a rough first 4.5 minutes, they did that very well. Long Beach State just going a little too fast.
How about the 3-point shooting for North Carolina? Leslie McDonald, 5 threes here in the first half. The result, a 14-point Tar Heel lead at the break.
It starts with the people, goes through the process, but ends with the details. At Auto Bell Car Wash, choose from full service or just a quick exterior wash and dry. People can tell when you Auto Bell.
This season, let's lose the foe. No fake trees. No phony trucks. Just real proven power. The kind that comes from the legendary Ram. Just in time for the holidays. Announcing the Ram Big Finish of 2010.
The deal you love with the food you crave is back. O'Charley's 2 meals for $14.99. Enjoy our mouth-watering prime rib Philly or our hand-battered fish and chips, even our teriyaki sesame tilapia. All your favorites, any 2 for just $14.99. Or choose the one you love best for only $7.49. The deal you'll come back for again and again is back right where it belongs. 2 meals for $14.99. Only at O'Charley's.
Clean your car inside and out at Auto Bell Car Wash. Keep the shine and protect your car's finish. Auto Bell Car Wash. Cleans, shines, and protects your car in just minutes. Visit autobell.com for a location near you.
At Montlick & Associates, we work hard every day to protect the rights of injured people.
No matter where you live in Georgia, our firm is here, ready to help you get your life back together after an accident. We're just a phone call away, and we'll even come to you.
Contact us 24 hours, 7 days a week. Go to montlick.com and use our free online case evaluation form. Or you can call us at 1-800-LAW-NEED for your free consultation. That's 1-800-LAW-NEED.
Here in Dallas, everyone loves the Cowboys, which makes it odd that our neighbor is a Redskins fan. He got NFL Sunday ticket, so now he can watch their games every Sunday. And that's fine. Live and let live. Right, baby? But I'm not so sure Troy Barkman is such a fan.
Watch your favorite team wherever you live. Upgrade to NFL Sunday Ticket today.
The Giants face the Vikings. Fox NFL Sunday delivers this week.
This ACC game is brought to you in part by Auto Owners Insurance, by Ford, by Hardee's, and by BB&T. Back at halftime, there's head football coach Butch Davis of the Tar Heels. They've accepted a bid to the Music City Bowl in Nashville, Tennessee, where they'll play the Tennessee Volunteers, and they got a guitar with the Tar Heel logo on it. TJ Yates, the rest of the captains out there for the Tar football team. I don't think any of them can play it. Dan, let's talk about this first half, and we'll take a look at our H.H. Gregg first half stats. And I think the big key, how about North Carolina's three-point shooting in that first half?
Mike, very obviously that's an important key to the game. North Carolina did a nice job taking what was given to them, and Long Beach State bunched down inside. North Carolina was able to kick it out and get baskets. I think another big key was North Carolina's defense really tightened up. But here's the story of the first half offensively for North Carolina. You notice for the most part wide open shots with guys running from the inside out and simply not being able to get there in time. Here Tyler Zeller passes it out to Larry Drew, makes the extra pass, wide open three.
And again, Leslie McDonald with 5 threes in that first half. And the bench scoring 25-7 in favor of North Carolina. And Long Beach State, I thought, got a little tired there towards the end of the half. Their lack of depth, I thought, really started to show a little.
Mike, you're absolutely right. They talked about the fact that they didn't have a lot of guys they could put in the game. Casper Ware, in particular, has to play a lot of minutes. But I really felt like the fact that they were a little thin showed up in the fact that North Carolina was able to speed them up. They played a little bit faster than they wanted to. They settled for some three-point shots. They didn't get the ball inside, and they really struggled offensively as a result.
Dan, as a team, your confidence may be wavering a little bit, but you get that big win over Kentucky a week ago, and I think we're still seeing the effects of that. That gave this team a lot of confidence.
Mike, I don't think you can underestimate that. Again, this is a team with unproven players and rookies, and Roy Williams is putting the pieces together, and I think this is a North Carolina team that is going to continue to improve. And I mean, that's what non-conference play is all about. You get yourself better, get yourself prepared to go into those conference struggles.
And one guy I think who's really starting to improve a lot, came in with so much hype, is Harrison Barnes. His athletic ability pretty evident on this slam right here. We're at halftime. Tar Heels up 14.
And now I'll turn it over to the Gecko.
Thank you, sir. As we all know, Geico has been saving people money on RV, camper and trailer insurance, as well as motorcycle insurance. Sorry. Technical difficulties.
What about this?
What's this one do? Maybe that one.
Okay, let's keep rolling. We run motorcycle insurance?
Take 15 minutes to see how much you could save on motorcycle, RV, and camper insurance.
Change. It can be right at your fingertips. Progress Energy is bringing you new ways to save energy and money. More alternative energy, like solar, and smart technology, like advanced carbon-free nuclear. Because clean, reliable, affordable power makes a difference for you and the world around you. Learn more at progress-energy.com.